relaxing and doing two of my favorite things, playing the piano and experimenting with food. So get nice and cozy today and join me as we food journey at home. Spending time at home doesn't have to mean boredom in the kitchen. An overzealous shop can mean having a stockpile of raw, fresh ingredients. And for me, this overkill is in need of some clever storage ideas. The need to store up for a rainy day isn't new. Preservation is as common in West Africa as it is around the world, although the techniques do differ. From salted cod in Portugal to biltong in South Africa and kilichi in Nigeria, economics and survival sit well on the plate with the word preservation. Now here's a little start for anyone who wants to try their hands at this soothing and satisfying process. I love toast, and the first thing we're going to make today is something that I think will really complement your daily piece of toast in the morning: some pineapple jam. I've got some fantastic pineapples here. These are sugarloaf. They look green, but they're really very sweet inside. And I'm going to show you how to make Sonia's special pineapple jam with ginger and chili. So the first thing we're going to do is get this bit off. We don't need that. And we're going to top and tail the pineapple, slice off the skin, trying to get off all those little eyes on it, and cut it into chunks. Let's start by top and tailing this pineapple and taking the skin off. Making sure you get rid of the dark, hard little bits. And then start slicing and chopping. Like so. And the inside core tastes pretty good too. I'm keeping some pieces aside to blend with a little ginger for textural variety in the jar. Let's go over to the stove and thinly slice a red chili, just the tip, avoiding the seeds, to add some flavored warmth as opposed to peppery distraction. Nice and thin, please. It's all going in a saucepan now. Along with a cinnamon stick. And 4 good tablespoons of sugar. And a cup of our own pineapple and ginger slurry. Now all we do is put that on the fire and let it slowly come to the boil. Over the course of the next 20 to 30 minutes, the sugars will reduce and then thicken. You can go off and read the newspaper now if you like, but keep one eye on what you're doing, checking and stirring occasionally. Now you can start to see it getting a little bit thicker. So you've got to keep your eye on this. So now this is really starting to come together. You can see that it's getting nice and sticky, and that's what we want. And I'm going to do a little test on a plate. So all you do is you take your plate, you get a little bit of the pineapple, and we just put it on the plate and we look at that liquid coming down. Still a little bit runny. So we'll give it a few more minutes. Now you can see that I can create sort of an avenue there. And that means we're ready. Lovely and sticky. And that's what we want. We're using store-bought mason jars today, but you can use your own older, stored, clean jars, so long as you sterilize them against germs getting into your preserves. We do this by leaving them in boiling water for about 10 minutes, including the lids. Then drain and set aside to dry until they're cool enough to handle, all sparkly and clean now. Food can be preserved in tins as well. Food is sealed and cooked at temperatures in excess of 121 degrees centigrade. Tinned foods can be stored in cans for about 4 to 6 years, so long as they aren't dented. Corned beef and tuna can last 2 to 5 years after their expiration date. Interesting. And here are our results. Some delish homemade pineapple jam. I think I should have made a little bit more, don't you? I love this, and I can't wait for breakfast tomorrow. Now let's move from sweet to sour and create a vehicle for preserving something you may ordinarily eat raw: cucumbers. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some pickles using cucumbers and a pickling brine. And I'm going to show you how you can use that pickling brine not only to make your pickles, but also to make some pickled peppers if you wish. So let's go prepare them and then make the brine. You can leave your cucumber whole, but because of their huge size, I'm splitting them today. You want them to fit snugly in the jar, so measure up and slice them so they can all fit. Smaller bits too. There we go, that's nice and tight. And I'm going to add some garlic to that as well. The idea is to create a sweet, sour, hot environment to completely change the taste. We're using sugar, peppercorns, dill, salt, and vinegar, chili and garlic. So we've got some garlic in there and the cucumbers. Smells heavenly and smells fresh and pungent at the same time. Now let's make the brine. First up, the vinegar. 3 cups. White or cider vinegar if you like. The heat next. Some green chilies and black peppercorns. Some mustard seeds. Another little pinch, or a big pinch. About a cup of sugar, because I want my pickles to be a little bit sweet and sour. And of course some salt. A heaped tablespoon. In you go. Now all I do is just put this on the fire and dissolve the sugar and salt. So let's get that on. We don't really need a rolling boil. I'm making sure that the salt and sugar crystals dissolve properly before we pour the liquid over the cukes. And that's it. So easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. It's thrilling to create something from scratch and tailor it to your own liking. Maybe for me it's just the sheer curiosity of it all. In the end, it's actually having a go that really matters. Seems I've got some leftover pickling brine. Let's see what else we can pickle. There are many varieties of pickles. the type we've made today, go very well with your favorite sandwiches and burgers. Okay, that beautiful pickling fluid should not go to waste. So what we're going to do is pickle some peppers while we're at it. There are endless possibilities really when it comes to what to pickle. I recently made my own pickled beetroot. I just peeled it, sliced, and marinated in plain old vinegar. And with all these wonderful peppers and other common kitchen staples, this pickling fluid won't go to waste. Another sterilized jar here. And let's make our selection. I'm going to use some of these long red peppers. What I like to do is just take off the top, like so, and make a few slashes because I really want some of the heat of the pepper to get into that fluid. So just slashing and slashing and putting that in. Select your variety of peppers, making sure to pack them down as you fill the jar. And you can tailor make your own signature peppers by adding some fresh thyme perhaps. And like me, some beautiful pearl onions. There we go. That looks packed tight enough, doesn't it? And all that's left is to pour this delicious pickling liquid in the jar. Now don't forget to include the mustard seeds and the goodies too. Tap the bubbles out and cover it tight. We've got our beautiful pickled peppers, and I'm just going to place them next to all the other nice things we've made today. Look at that. Wow. I'm proud of myself. I could do this all day. After I'd done one jar, it kind of became a little addictive, and I made some other varieties where I included carrots, tatashi, ginger, and garlic. But the choice ultimately, of course, is yours. And if you have some sticky labels, you can create a sticker saying whatever you like to make them even more original. Drying and smoking are probably the oldest methods of preservation. And the objective there is to remove moisture, which creates the perfect environment for the growth of bacteria and microorganisms. These beautiful tomatoes were sun-dried, which really concentrates their flavor and changes their pulpy consistency into a chewy one. Salting draws out moisture and creates an unfavorable environment for bacterial growth, although salt probably needs to be reduced by soaking in water before cooking. Now let's try something with the tomatoes I have. Perhaps we should create a lovely tomato base for your original soups and stews. We're going to put these into the pot to steam, and then we're going to add some other things to them and be able to keep them in a jar for use later. First thing I've got to do is get rid of this little eye here. Little paring knife, thumb on the tomato, and just cut it out. Once you've done that, it's ready to go into the pot. Let's do the same for all of the tomatoes. Steam the tomatoes for 10 minutes till you see the skin starting to split. All ready in the pot. Now we can see that these tomatoes are right where we want them. You can see that the skin is splitting off nicely, even with my spoon there. So we want to drain this water. And just gently lay them there to cool so we can handle them. Now, look at these beautiful tomatoes. All the skin is nice and wrinkly, and look, it just peels off. They've cooled down now because I don't have asbestos fingers. Let's take off all the skin. There we go. Skin here, tomato back in the pot. And we do that for all the tomatoes. See how it just comes off? Nice and easy. To which I'm going to add my cloves of garlic. A lot of garlic. Why don't we go on and add a pepper? Let's add a bay leaf. These are beautiful, aren't they? One will do. A little salt. And my final little pungent aromatic, some thyme. Let's take it all over to the fire. These will steam in their own juices for about 15 minutes, and as they soften, I'm kind of crushing or smashing them with a spoon till it all comes together. And our sauce is ready. Now, make no mistake, this is not a finished stew. This is actually a flavored tomato that you can keep in your jar, your sterilized jar, and use anytime you want to make something with tomatoes. So let's go ahead and just tip this into a bowl. Leave all the bay leaf and the thyme in there. It's fine. And there you have it, your beautiful preserved tomato base. Let's put it in a jar. Today we've used mustard seed, dill, black pepper, pimento, to name a few. And although industries freeze dry, pasteurize, and use chemicals to prolong the shelf life of produce, certain spices have preservative qualities as well. At the top of my list, pimento and black pepper, but also dill, red chilies, turmeric, oregano, thyme, cloves, cinnamon, rosemary, quite a few. And in times of old, food was often heavily spiced to increase the lifespan and to also disguise the rankness as they degenerated. I've kept my spice base chunky today, and this keeps my options open as the ingredients are still kind of separate, but the mixture can also be blended. In this case, I added a little olive oil to enrich the flavor, but my main aim is to use this as a smoother base. Out of the fridge, fruits and some veg will continue to ripen or dry up. So try to store them out of the containers that you bought them in so they can breathe and avoid bruising them on their trip home too. Did you know that avocados, plantain, mango and tomatoes will stop ripening once in the fridge? And that onions and potatoes probably shouldn't be stored side by side as both give off a lot of moisture. So cool and dry is best, and separate. Now, I decided that for the end of this episode, I'd show you what you can do with this sauce. Now, this is some that I made earlier, and we're going to use this for what better purpose than to make some pasta. You can really use any pasta you like. There's so many varieties to choose from lasagna, spaghetti, to ravioli and penne. Some pastas, like tortellini and rigatoni, really hold this type of sauce because they've just got more surface area and stuff to cling on to. I've got beautiful tagliatelle here and a hot pan and hot water, which is almost boiled. So maybe we need to just salt it. Whoop. And then put in our tagliatelle. Let's do that too. In that goes. See you later. Now, the sauce. I have a hot pan here Olive oil. Be generous. To that, I'm going to add some onions. They've been chopped finely. In they go. Sizzle, sizzle. This is a simple, basic sauce anyone can manage. It literally takes as long to make as the pasta water takes to boil. Just a few additions and allowing this to simmer. Nothing fancy, coaxing it into a cohesive sauce. But there are other ways to make your pre-formed tomato base shine by adding protein. These beautiful meatballs were easily put together with the listed ingredients and a mincemeat base. Form them into bite-sized little balls and set them in the fridge for a bit before using. Whole garlic and onions are sizzled. The garlic is removed, crushed, and added back once they're soft. Tomato base in, and now some aromatics. 20 minutes later, raw little meatballs in, and these will cook in the sauce in about 5 minutes. Now you can serve. Our pasta is ready, and I'm putting a nice Sonia amount into the sauce and mixing together. Look at that. We've done well, haven't we? Now, the crowning glory, Parmesan cheese. Well, this has been a lot of fun, and you know what time it is. Time to taste. I hope you're all going to go off and do some of the lovely things that you've seen me doing today in the kitchen and enjoy your preserved foods. So delicious, so fresh, so beautiful, and that Parmesan cheese. Well, I have to say goodbye from Food Journey. See you all next time.